Hey, did you know that October is World Postcard Day and October is International Dinosaur Month and October 11th is National Fossil Day? So let's do a T-Rex postcard. I've included a step out to help you draw the T-Rex. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the step out better at Doodlewash. The link is below. I've used some masking fluid and I use this clay shaping tool because you can get such a nice fine line and it's so easy to clean. I'm doing a mock-up on colored paper to show you where the masking fluid goes because it doesn't show up very well on the white postcard. I pour some masking fluid into a little container with a lid because every time you open your masking fluid, you're letting air in and it starts to dry up. This way I can preserve what's in the bottle longer, and with the lid I can shut this and this masking fluid will stay fresh for quite some time. Let the masking fluid dry and you'll be ready to start painting. Normally I would ink this box after I finish painting, but it's a little hard to see while I'm doing the video, so I'm doing it first. Okay, we're going to use the round brush. Going to mix a small amounts of Cadmium Lemon to about the consistency of milk and a real small amount of bright red to the same consistency. Once the yellow dries, circle the eye with the red, and then we're going to paint the tongue. Before you start painting the tongue, clean your brush, have it damp, then pick up red because I want the tongue to be paler than the red around the eye, and that little bit of extra water in the brush will ensure that that happens. While this dries, mix up some of the bright red and black grape. You want it to be about the consistency of milk, but for this first part, do the little trick with the damp brush again because we want this part to dry lightly. Blot your brush and pick up some of the darker red and paint the nose. Then once the tongue is dry, paint down the inside of the throat. Mix up some of the cadmium yellow deep to about the consistency of milk. All the areas where you have the yellow on the head, outline it. Make sure you leave some of that lighter yellow showing. Mix up the cadmium orange to the consistency of milk and repeat what you just did, except leave both the cadmium lemon and cadmium yellow light showing. Paint the lower jaw except for these stripes. Be sure to paint over the masking fluid area. While the orange is still wet, mix up some black grape to about the consistency of milk. Paint the pupil of the eye, then start outlining it around the eye and letting it bleed into the orange to make sort of a zombie brown. T-Rex was not a good looking guy. Use this color as sort of a shadow color behind the ridge of the eye, between the eye and the nose, and get some of it in there among the feathers. Bring the zombie brown down and put it around the line of the mouth to show kind of a dark gum line. Darken the interior of the throat just a little more. Then clean your brush, grab some of the black grape, and paint in the stripes along the jaw. Clean your brush, get it damp, and pick up some more of the black grape and paint along the neck and shoulders. Now pick up some of the cadmium orange around the consistency of milk and outline all of the yellow stripes on the body. Paint the area between the hip and the stomach and a little bit down into the belly. Paint along the areas that have masking fluid. Even though those are covered, some of that color will go through and it'll give it a little extra interest. Now paint around the stripes and cover the entire body, legs, and tail with a watery mix of the black grape. Mix up a little thicker mix of the black grape, less water, and then paint over the areas that you want to stand out. This gives a little bit of form to the body. Like along the side of the hip and the curve of the belly. Using a very dark mix of the black grape, start outlining some areas on the face around the eye, the black of the ridge. You're shading and really making some of the things stand out. Add some black dots along the inside of the mouth and do the same thing with some red. Add those dots for texture along the tongue as well. Paint the claws red and then let everything dry. Now we're going to use the black grape to make it almost black in some areas of the body. Pretty much the same place as you put the darker gray, but leave some of the dark gray and some of the light gray showing. Paint the teeth with a very watery mix of the black grape and orange. Let that dry. Then shade each tooth with a slightly darker mix of the same color. Let that dry, and then add some little hints of a more orangish mix. Switch to the dagger striper brush. With clean water, wet one of the areas in the background. Then pick up some turquoise about the consistency of milk and cover that entire area. Repeat this for each area of the background until you've got it all painted in. Add a light wash of the turquoise to the T-Rex's belly and a few other areas just to kind of reflect the background. Look over the entire painting and make any adjustments you think might be needed. Things a little bit darker, a little bit more orange, whatever floats your boat in essence. Once everything is dry, start removing the masking fluid. It must be dry or you have run the risk of tearing the paper. Run a thin line of orange using the narrow edge of the dagger striper brush to shade each of the strands of hair on the head, the arms, and the legs, and the tail. I decided to make the teeth even more zombie-like. T-Rex definitely was not a good-looking guy, and his personal hygiene sucked. Switch to the pen and ink in the wording. Now is the time to ink the box if you didn't do that back when I did. Use the black ink pen to outline some of the things you want to stand out. I outlined all of the feathery hairs and added a few little feathery lines. And I outlined around the eyes. You'll look at things and see what you'd like to stand out a little bit more, and now's the time to do that. Now I switched to a white ink pen and did a little bit of highlighting on the feathery areas and any other place that I thought might need a little bit of a really bright highlight. And that pretty much takes care of it. Have a wonderful October and a wonderful International Dinosaur Month.